Well, that's not a
Why
very
don't
good
we just get
solution,
foreign
is
ref?
it?
No, it's
that's the reality.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but what would you do to fix it? I suppose that's more my question. Like, what would? Because I said earlier, I would bring in foreign referees, and then I said I'd treat the referees like farmers treat their fields. You rotate them, so you get the Spanish refs in, right? You pay them the money, you get them in for 2 years, and they move on. Then you bring in the Italian ref for a few, and you almost rotate it because I think again maybe a wider investigation needs to be done here by football at large. How much bias do referees? They are human beings at the end of the day. And I understand bias developing when you're getting abuse from people, right? Or you're getting criticism. But I think we have to do more to ensure that, to reduce that as much as we can. Like that's a theory I had. I don't know how plausible that is. We've got the money for it. But what could be done to improve the level of refereeing?
I have two answers. I have two answers. One, the position that Howard Webb has should be like similar to like a presidential thing where it only has a certain shelf life. It should be rotated. You should not be able to have that position for too long. So right now, I don't know how long he's had that position, but maybe after a 4-year period or maybe after a 2-year period, there should be a vote on the next head of the PGMOL. So all the teams across all of football should be able to vote if this man should keep the job or if somebody else should come in and take that position. Number one. Number two, I've thought about this a lot, as you guys can tell. Number two, I think the next thing that should happen is they should actually have a separate ruling for the rules. The forget about the PGMOL. The FA need to change their rules on refereeing in the leagues because they have a rule where only English referees who've learned from the FA on how to referee can referee in England, be it in any English competition. So they need to change that. Because when you have Champions League, you have foreign referees. But in the FA Cup, in the League Cup, in the Premier League, you cannot have a foreign referee unless they've learned under the FA's ruling. So the referees from Australia, he had to relearn when he came to England.
Well, I suppose English football's got better since we've been importing more and more foreign players and managers and coaches. So maybe it's about time we did it with referees because they are better than they are better than we are at it. I want to throw this question here to Will. This is from Jeremy, or a question statement. He says you shouldn't depend on refs to win your games. This is from a City fan.
Coming from a City fan, Rich. You guys have single-handedly won 3 league titles. You guys have won 3 league titles from small margins where we could name 3 or 4 massive refereeing decisions that swung the whole title. For example, last year, a kick in the chest. A player kicked somebody in the chest. The player that you have as your Avi kicked the player in the chest, and they didn't give it as a penalty in the final minutes of the game. Handball versus Everton. Numerous situations you can name. But hey, all of a sudden, you don't need referees to go your favor. Well, it's gone in your favor many times, and you don't seem to be angry.
It also doesn't go our way, though, sometimes. Like, what about the goal scorer in the Wolves game getting a second yellow? Sorry, not getting a second yellow.
You can't even say it with a straight face like Nobbins, mate. Look at you.
All right.
But that did happen. In the Wolves game last season when we lost 2-1, the player who scored the winner for Wolves should have been sent off.
That's completely different too.
What about when Lorente handballed it? And
that's completely different to a player. What do you call it? Having a red card challenge, kicking somebody in the chest on the final minutes of the game against a title rival.
Well, it should have been red cards, and that was in the first half. The point I'm trying to, and there are other examples from last season. The point I'm trying to make is that it's not a case of one club gets everything their way. I think that's the point. If there is incompetence, it's not targeted against one club.
Okay, but how
that's
about
all I'm pushing back against.
How about this? Your owner has paid some of these Premier League referees.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
To work in a league, in another foreign league. Now, is there not a unconscious bias?
Is
there not an unconscious bias when you're getting actually physically paid money from an owner of another of a Premier League team's manager?
Is that confirmed?
Right.
Yeah,
well, in the first instance,
no, it's not alleged. 1 second, it's not alleged.
He refereed one game.
That league paid for them to come over.
1 game, 2 games, 10 games.
Who paid who? Sorry, who paid who?
The league, the Saudi Arabian league, or the UAE footballing league. The chairman of that league sits on the board at Manchester City. They brought in Oliver, who refereed 1 game when he took a year out of the Premier League.
Right.
They tripled his salary.
Yeah.
And then he's obviously come back, and some of the decisions have gone in your favor. That's why there's this quote unquote conspiracy.
Yeah, I'm not being funny, guys. If City wanted to buy a referee, do you not think they would have done it in a slightly more subtle manner than shipping him off to the
hiding in plain sight, bro? Hiding in plain sight. You ever heard of that?
I agree. I agree. We have seen how good City have been at hiding their money. It took a hacker to get it out. They would never have done it in plain sight. That's a joke, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
I know you don't believe it, Terry, but Gal brought it up, and he clearly does. And it's November. It's nearly 2025, and this shite is still being peddled.
Why would the Prem sue City?
Guess what? It doesn't matter what year it is, even if it can't be proven. The reality is that
even if it can't be proven, I'll still believe it because it's
no.
That's not
what I said. That's not what I was even.
No, that's what you're thinking, though, isn't it? I can see your brain working right now.
I'm saying it doesn't matter what year it is, as long as that is not put to bed, we can always speak it about it. That's the reality.
Right, but surely, what you're asking there is for a negative to be proven. That's not how arguments work.
No, but the negative to be proven is more difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You can't. You shouldn't be. The onus isn't on to prove a negative. The onus is on to prove that it's happened.
So hence why Man City could get away with these things, because no one can really prove it.
Look, what I would say very quickly is this, right? I think City have had decisions go against them. The Wolves game, there was a second goal disallowed against Liverpool last season for a little push in the back. Nowhere near as physical as the push a week earlier from Joelinton on Gabriel, by the way. So it has gone against them. There's no doubt. Where I disagree with the comment is, don't rely on referees. For me, it's an oversimplification of the situation. When games are close, when games are tight, when games are narrow, you need the referee to do a better job, because a referee can send a game in another direction. Equally, though, when you win a game 3 or 4-0 and there's a horrendous decision in the match, it should still get focus. As football fans, I think it should still get focused and attention. And again, I can only speak for myself. I don't ignore things just because my team wins. They should still be called out no matter what goes on a football pitch. And I think that you can't just say win the game and don't worry about bad refereeing, because if you ignore those inconsistencies just because you're winning, at some point that's going to bite you on the arse, because maybe your team isn't as good in 2 or 3 years, which sometimes is no fault of your own. Maybe other teams have got better. Those inconsistencies still exist. Some super chats here to go through. There's quite a lot that come through. Igal, you act like you don't get beneficial decisions, I think he means.
I still believe we do get decisions that go our way. For example, the Liverpool potential handball, or was a handball, and should have been given as a handball. And I did say on the Terrace and on my own channel, I called that out. And even, for example, I remember a year or two ago, I don't know exactly when the game was, we played against Brentford, threw on goal. The goal was disallowed for some reason, and I thought it was extremely soft, and we got lucky there. And I called those out when it happened. So I just don't remember each incident, but I do call out both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm the one that came to. I was speaking about Man United getting robbed last week. I'm talking about other teams too.
That was David Coop.
Yeah, he's Manchester. He's a Man United fan. He wanted Ten Hag out.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor. Thank you, David. I didn't say that, weren't me. Rodri's handball was offside before. I don't remember that part of it. I do remember that same season, City scoring a goal that was 35 yards offside, though. That was a mad one. That was a crazy one. That did my head in, that one did. And then they changed the rules like 3 days later. Again, that's not City's fault, by the way. Not blaming City, blaming the referee.
Oh, was that against Villa?
Yeah.
And I do remember that. Yeah, I think it was Bernardo against Mings. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had to re-clarify the rules. So they slightly amended the rules so that would now be considered onside or something along those lines. Or then now that would be considered offside. It was one of those weird little moments. But again, not City's fault. Disallowed winner in that game. Lines drawn wonky. I think a lot of teams just suffered with that in the beginning. Fans have to stop getting butthurt and stand together. Absolutely right.
Facts.
Absolutely, especially you, Igal. Well done, Nobbins, for playing down the incident and the quotes in the video when they are clearly xenophobic words used. Well done, Nobbins.
Wait,
he didn't do that. We were having a conversation about something completely different.
Was I a naughty boy? What have I done here?
He did
not
remember
that.
No, we were having a conversation about City, not the referee, David Coop.
I don't think you said anything that was xenophobic.
No, this person.
Am I about to get cancelled? Is that what's happening right
now?
No.
This person completely misunderstood our argument as if you were backing David Koo.
Yeah, must have not been listening. This big up Stro, and yes, Stro's a Liverpool fan. He has been calling this stuff out for all teams for many years. Big up yourself, Stro. Hope you're well, brother.